So what's the biggest jump on Osu? Well, one jump pattern that comes to mind would be Kreut's version of Teo, specifically on the Moto difficulty. When this map was first released, friends and I would call this the Pacific Spacing. Fun fact, the full name of this difficulty used to be Moto, Take My Hand and Together We Can Reclaim All That's Been Stolen From Us. That difficulty name wouldn't fit in the song select. The jump I'm talking about in particular comes at the start of the second ki, specifically between these two notes. Now, that first note is actually truly as close to the corner of the playfield as you can go. You can't drag this note any further down or to the right. The second note, the one at the top left, however, does have a slight bit of leeway. You can drag the circle slightly to the left. Editors, note I've just realized that this circle is actually 1 unit away from being the corner. So for all intents and purposes, you can really just consider this a absolute corner-to-corner jump. Yeah. Now, there are probably jumps further than this in the rank section, probably. And if there are, feel free to shout those maps out in the comments. In theory, it wouldn't be impossible for a ranked map to have a jump going from one absolute corner of the playfield to the opposite corner. It would just be the largest possible yet rankable distance. Unless the beat map nominators say fuck it one day and start ranking maps with jumps outside the playfield. But in any case, this would be the largest rankable jump distance-wise. But that doesn't make it the largest jump overall. We can still take tiny steps forward. And this is where we start getting into little editor intricacies. In theory, and that's the final time I will say in theory this video, the largest possible jump would be from the corner to corner of your screen. But unfortunately for us, Osu doesn't really like it when notes go outside the playfield on the x-axis or the horizontal axis. Here's two notes slightly to the left outside of the playfield. Should I save and reload this map, Osu will snap these notes right into the x-coordinate of 0, or as far left on the playfield as can go. And yes, I've also tested it on the right side of the playfield. It does the exact same thing, just to the right. The y-axis or the up and down vertical axis on the other hand is a mixed bag. Here's a little pattern I made. 2 notes clearly off screen at the bottom and 2 notes floating about the playfield at the top. Save and reload and the 2 notes at the bottom will remain off screen, but the 2 notes above the playfield get snapped to y equals 0, or the highest point on the playfield, which is a little bit strange considering that the lower notes are clearly more quote-unquote unhittable than the top ones. These off-screen notes were also used by Monstrata in his 2016 Aspire entry near the end for a really cool effect. We can also do some tricks with the use of high stack leniency. Stack enough notes on top of each other and you'll eventually make a towering heap of notes that go off screen. Majestic, ain't it? Unfortunately, stacks only go diagonally to the upper left, so unless you can stack notes downwards, the bottom right corner will remain untouched. Speaking of hittable jumps, it's a lot harder to hit jumps on full area, and I've been playing that a lot on my stream, twitch.tv/tzechi, please go watch. So with all this in mind, what does the theoretically largest hittable jump look like? Well, there are 2 versions I've come up with. One's more theoretical and one's actually possible to make in a map. This theoretical jump will only be attainable should someone be able to find a way to keep a note at its position at the top of a stack without letting that note fall. Imagine you made a tree block tower in Minecraft. Remove the bottom 2 blocks and the top one stays where it was. But in reality, or if you're making that tower out of sand, that 3rd block is probably just going to plop to the ground. That's kind of the issue we're dealing with here. The second jump is simple. 1 note at the top left corner of the playfield and 1 note at the furthest right of the playfield, but as far down as possible I could get it while still being hittable. It has a y-coordinate of 457, meaning that to even hit the circle, your cursor would need to be kissing the bottom of the screen, so you'd only be able to hit the very edge of that circle. The coordinates of the first note are 0, 0, the top right corner of the playfield. The second note's coordinates are 512 and 457, as far right and far bottom as possible while remaining hittable. So the distance between these 2 notes is about 686.2 units. Just for reference, the distance between 2 notes at opposite ends of the playfield would be about 640. This is also the first time I'm using Pythagoras' theorem outside of school, and boy is it useless. This information really isn't important since nobody calculates any distance of any form with the measuring units in the editor, but it's kind of fun to know anyway. By the way, in case you were wondering, a true corner-to-corner jump would be about 992 units. More useless info. But anyways, that was it for the short little experiment. If you know any method to make it jump bigger than this, feel free to let me know in the comments. Anyways, thanks for watching. Twitch.tv/tzechi.